way it happened for me, it just happened such an instant. It wasn't like I could see the dog coming. Funny job to take if you don't like dogs. That's where it's kind of funny. I thought it was a German Shepherd. So as I turn around, I look and I see this dog coming at me, and I yelled, "No!" like you're supposed to.
Okay.
And he bites me.
Your secrets out now.
Right?
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Miley and Me. Today we are not necessarily taking you on an adventure. We're going to talk about an adventure that happened. And what we're talking about today is how a mailman got bit by an unvaccinated dog. Who's the mailman?
I guess I would qualify.
So if
Anyway, cheers to the very first
cheers.
interview kind of style on our channel.
I agree. So if you guys are not aware, Dwayne is a letter carrier, and so he delivers mail for a living. And so we're just going to take a couple of minutes and talk about what it is to be a mailman. And then we're going to talk about what happened, because it was very upsetting for us, very upsetting for Dwayne, obviously, upsetting for me and my family as well. Like, you know, we all love and care about him, and you know, this just wasn't cool that this happened. So let's talk about it. So, Dwayne, tell the people.
What do you want to hear?
What do you want to hear? Well, what are the different kinds of ways that a person can have a route as a mailman?
Well, first off, I've been a postal worker for 4 years.
Yep.
And I've been lucky enough to have a traditional walking route. So think in like the Hollywood movies, you've got the old homes with the trees and stuff like that. Picturesque. That's what I get to do.
Because you're in an old part of town,
Brandon,
right?
Yes.
Where the homes are like from the Victorian era,
That's
a
right,
lot
yeah.
of them.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
we're talking about trees with shade that takes a couple of lifetimes to grow.
Yep, absolutely.
Right.
So I've got colleagues that have like the postal boxes where, you know, it's a community box, if you will. I don't have any of those on my route. I'm kind of lucky. I like it that way. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, I do actual door-to-door delivery like the old days.
So
right?
so what sorts of things do you like about you know, having a traditional mail route like that? Like what sorts of things do you notice when you're delivering mail? Like, do you notice the cars that people drive, how they do their gardens, how they do their home? You know me, and I love to stick my beak. If you guys don't know this, okay? We've been married over 30 years now. In fact, there's a little certificate right back there propped against the wall that a friend got for us that Canada will have the Prime Minister actually sign and say congratulations that it was our 30-year wedding anniversary. We've been married over 30 years. And in the 30 years plus that we've been married, all the time I'll be driving, I'll go, Dwayne, wait, slow down. I can't see in their house, right? So if we're driving through a neighborhood.
You would love my job, okay? I get to.
Exactly.
I'm allowed to walk up to people's homes, right?
And
so,
I just like to see how they
Yeah.
decorate their house. Are they tidy? Are they sloppy?
Yeah.
What's the color decor? Is it modern? Is it classic? So anyways, I'm a nosy Parker.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, being a postal
what sort
worker,
of things do you notice?
you see everything. Like we see people's routines. We know what cars they drive.
Well, what do you mean by routines? That's interesting.
Well, because I'm pretty consistent with the times. Within about 10 minutes, you know, depending on the weather, of course, I'm going to be on your street. So I tend to see the same people. So I can see when they leave for work, when they're coming back, who works night shift, who works day shift, who's celebrating a birthday, all that kind of stuff, right?
Why? Because of like what you see in their trash, or
Sometimes what they've left up, like decorations or something like that, or, you know, all the subtleties that just, if you walk the neighborhood, like when you guys walk a neighborhood, you see from the curb side.
Yeah.
I get to walk up to the personal side to see actually how they live. You get to see the, you know, the distant shot, if you will, but I get up and close personal, right? So
yeah. So on that topic, like, let's talk a little bit about So we've established like there's some beautiful things about being a mailman, right?
Absolutely.
You get to see how people live. You get to walk in beautiful neighborhoods.
Well, you'd enjoy that part more than me. I think it's, I mean, I like the weather. I like the community, meeting people, just being just part of the community, right?
Yeah. So then along with that comes various weather and Hazzards. What sort of weather do you encounter, and what sort of hazards do you encounter with that weather? And we're going to where the hazards go next, guys.
I mean, in Canada, we get a mixed bag. We're in southern Ontario. We don't get a lot of snow. Like, this summer,
Sometimes.
this winter was different. We got quite a bit this year.
Yeah.
But traditionally, it's not too bad. So I know other people in different parts of Canada would have a different story that's concerned, but I can just go by what I do. I mean, my least favorite weather is wind. First off, I'd rather a snowy day anytime. Wind is terrible when you hold paper for a living. What else? Rain sucks, of course. But yeah, wind
I was
is the
thinking like
worst.
the ice. So wind is the worst, but not the ice. Like,
okay.
I seem to recall as a spouse so many times you'll come home and talk about people whose steps are unkempt, right? And whether it's leaves and sand and debris that can be quite dangerous to walk on that you wouldn't think, but it isn't leaves but then you also talk about people who don't salt properly. So the ice on the steps is extremely dangerous, right?
Anything like snow, ice, that's annoying for people that don't remove the stuff properly, okay? Always. And so thank you for all those who do shovel. But, when you first start the job, they tell you don't cut lawns, right? Don't cut across someone's lawn. Right?
I see what you mean.
And at first you think it's annoying. It's like, okay, sure, you don't want, you want to respect people's property, of course. But it's more than that because, especially you mentioned leaves. You've got a bunch of leaves, and now, especially October, you've got people starting to put out Halloween decorations, and nowadays they've got these elaborate displays. They could have a wire going across you don't see, right? Yeah. And so it's not always the fact of, yes, respecting someone's lawn, of course, but that sometimes you look at someone's lawn and they don't care. So I'm probably going to walk on their lawn, okay? To be honest with you.
Your secrets out now.
Right? But it's just a nice lawn. I'm not walking across it, right? It's not like that. But so those are definitely hazards that I don't think you really see. At first, you're thinking they're just being annoying, not walking across people's lawns and that kind of stuff. But
moving along from practical hazards that weather and environment can cause, the next most practical hazard, aside from the sun can hazard your skin, would probably be wildlife. And you may encounter some wildlife like squirrels, raccoons, skunks, but probably you're more likely to encounter the domestic cat and dog. So this wasn't your first route. Let's just talk for a minute. There was these dogs. There was one that would always want to come through the door at you. And then there was some by a window. So let's just talk for a minute about the different personalities of dogs that you encounter. And what does that make you think and feel as a mailman? Like, share for the benefit of our viewers, what goes through your head when you see the different ways dogs are secured, the size of the dog, all that. I think you get where I'm going. So maybe start with the little dog at the door.
Well, first off, all dogs bite. So I don't have a preference, big dog, small dog. It doesn't matter. Sometimes the small dogs are more annoying, right? Because they have something to prove, right? A big dog doesn't have anything to prove. It just knows, right? But I like dogs for starters. Obviously, we have a dog, right? But so I think my experience is different than other people that don't like dogs. And I've got a lot of colleagues that don't like dogs, believe it or not. Funny job to take if you don't like dogs.
They don't even want to do the routes, right? They'd rather be in the warehouse.
So, it's a very different experience for them. But I mean, I find most people are really, really good. It's the people tend, because when I'm out there during the day, a lot of people are working. So the dog's naturally inside the house a lot of the time, unless they're working for the home, working from home, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so the last route I was on, we had that had a lot of dogs. Now, I never felt unsafe by any of those dogs, but the person that had the route before me, he was terrified. He was just terrified of these dogs. And there's one house in particular, and I think I have a little clip, a video, if I can, I'll put it in. And I used to try it every day to see if they would sleep in the bay window. And I would see if I could deliver and not wake them up. And this one.
What kind of dogs were they?
Pit bulls. Pretty sure they're pit bulls or mix of
big,
some sort. So they were,
powerful breeds,
yeah.
definitely of that box or pit bull type.
They wanted
variety.
through that glass, right? So, I mean, to me, I looked at it and saying, dogs, I'm sure it can go through the glass. For the most part, they're just, it's, it's more scary than I think. Am I actually in danger? I don't think so, right? But
well, maybe if you stayed at the window and egged them on.
perhaps. It's a little, it's uncomfortable. Again, if you're nervous of dogs, it's not a pleasant experience walking past a window where a dog's right here and it's barking at you. It's it's not comfortable. So.
And there was another little dog that they always just had the patio door, the glass patio door only.
Even in
right?
the wintertime, so I suspect they're smokers or something. I don't know. Like they always had the. It wouldn't matter how cold that day was. They only had the screen door closed. And this little dog, he would see me coming and he would just ram his head into this door like he wanted through that door, you know. But so once I realized that he was not a threat, I just found it funny. But
So then I guess the idea here is that you were on other routes before this one where you've grown accustomed to knowing that dogs are watching for you and they can see you and learning how to navigate it. And like, you get training as a mailman about how to deal with dog bites or wait, let's try that again. You get training for your job.
Yes.
On how to deal with dogs.
Yeah.
And tell me about it. Like what sort of things what techniques were you taught?
It's kind of funny. My first year, I had training and I thought, I'm all equipped. I've got it all together, right? So the second year, because every spring they bring someone in to review. And so I had this arrogance about me, I'm sure, that is like, I know. But as I'm watching the presentation, I realized that whole time I forgot everything I learned and I was doing it all wrong. So it's kind of funny. But so things like...
So the annual refresher training is obviously good then.
Yeah. Especially this year, I'll probably be the butt of the joke.
Wait till you guys hear. So what sorts of things were you taught? Like what do they teach you as a letter carrier about dealing with a dog?
If you're coming up to a property, number one, you look for leashes, you look for things like that is like a dog activity, something outside to let you know there's a dog on the property. Now, we do have a list of all the properties that do have dogs on them. So I'm aware most times, unless there's a change, there's a dog there, right? I don't know what size it is necessarily, unless they've put a special note in the log. But when I approach, like if I'm knocking on the door, if I'm just delivering, I'm in, out, gone. It's I'm not around long enough for any engagement, right? But if I have to go to the door and deliver something that I need a signature or something from the homeowner, I will put my foot, if it's a screen door that opens out, I'll put my foot in front of that screen door so that even if it's not locked or like clicked in place, no one can push that door open.
Okay, so that if a dog comes racing to the door before the owner can get there, the door won't suddenly fly open. Well, that's a good technique. That's wise.
Also stuff if a door is opening this way,
like outward,
this outward, stand by the hinges.
Okay.
Don't stand by the front. You naturally would stand where the door opens. But if you do that, as soon as that opens, where's the dog going for the opening?
Of course.
Right? So the little things like that. It's where you stand to give yourself the best chance of winning if and you have to engage a dog, cat, something, child.
Oh, okay. And didn't you say there's a way you can stand that makes you the dog can't read you or...
Well, if you have the unfortunate event of actually engaging a dog, that's a different scenario. So what you want to do is a dog cannot read you when you go sideways.
Okay.
A dog will read you this way. They can pick up on our signs somehow. Like dogs.
So like just looking at the camera, you would want your shoulder.
Yeah. So if I turn this way, you want to turn this way so the dog can't read me.
Okay.
Remember?
Okay.
This way.
Well, either shoulder works. You got two.
Get the idea.
Okay.
All right.
So it's great that you have all these techniques that you've learned, but then we had an event happen.
We also have a dog horn too. That like the idea is to every dog's name they teach us is no,
Okay. Yeah.
because that's what the dog hears most times in his life is no. So we yell no, like make a loud noise, something like that to just like distract the dog, get it out of the zone, that angry zone that it's in. It's doing its job. It's protecting its dwelling, its house, right? So, yeah.
Okay. So then what happened is on Monday, March 21st, was it? Or the 17th? It was the 17th.
Monday.
It was Monday the 17th, St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
You had an event happen, and
Yep.
did any of this dog training kick in for you when the event happened?
Yes and no. I mean, you react. Like, I don't think you sit down and you go, oh yeah, what were my tools? Like the way it happened for me, it just happened such an instant. It wasn't like I could see the dog coming so I could prepare. Like that's a different scenario.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. So I just went purely on instinct and reacted, hopefully the best, right?
So now that we're at that point, so we've talked a little bit about what it's like to be a letter carrier. There's different dangers that you can encounter, whether it's practical things or, people moving, dogs moving type things.
Yep.
And, now we're going to talk about this event that happened. So this is on your new route in the beautiful old neighborhood with the Victorian homes and the antique trees and everything. Like it's a neighborhood.
Yep.
And where's this dog normally? Because didn't you say that this dog sees you coming every day?
Well, it hears me somehow. Like I'm pretty sure that whenever I park on a street, because like again, I'm consistent. I park in the same spot, usually around the same time of day. So all the dogs, and I'm sure the nosy neighbors all know when I arrive in that street.
The mailman's here.
Mailman's
right?
here, right? Because there's certain dogs you hit the street. The owner will tell me, "Oh yeah, I could tell you were here because 10 minutes ago because the dog was responding. The dog was
okay.
Not necessarily this case, but so I've been on this route since last summer. Okay, so it's not new to me, and every day I go to this house probably every day, if not 2-3 times a week. And the way this house is, it has the garage out front, so I have to go to the front door to get the mailbox. Okay.
So you have to walk down the side of the garage.
I have to walk down the side of the garage, and right beside the front door, that's where the mailbox is. So
because this route is door to door.
Door to door. Now, some people in the neighborhood by the garage, they'll put their mailbox and that kind of stuff. This case wasn't that.
Okay.
So I was walking up to the front door. Normally I hear this dog above the garage. There's a room, like a bedroom or something up there. And the dog is barking its head off at me. It hears me coming.
What dog is it? Do you know?
Well, that's where it's kind of funny. I thought it was a German Shepherd because they had a sign in their window saying, beware of dog. And it was a German Shepherd.
It's the classic German Shepherd.
And naturally
shape.
people do that. If they got a terrier, they got a terrier, poodle. Like that's how it is. So that's why I assumed I couldn't see the dog, but I could hear it every day. I could hear this dog.
Yep.
Rarely it was quiet, but most times that dog knew I was there. And I felt bad for the neighbors thinking, sorry, I'll be gone in a few minutes, guys, right? Sort of thing. But this time on Monday, I came up and it was quiet. Didn't hear the dog. So I didn't think anything of it. Whatever. Maybe they're up for a walk, And as I approached the front door, putting the mail in, the front door opens up. It's a homeowner. And he was startled to see me, and I was startled to see him, and all the rest of it. And I was like, oh, hey, how you doing? Hand him the letters and stuff that I had for him, and wished him a good day, and turned around to leave, not thinking anything of what happened. And his dog was right behind him.
Okay.
Unbeknownst to any of
us. Was it again?
Turns out it was a retriever.
Okay.
A mix of some
Everyone's
sort.
favorite family
Yep.
dog. The most common breed
Yep.
in North America,
Yep.
probably.
And apparently, after
Family
what I've
pet.
learned from all this, it is the most common dog to bite people. And I was like, that breaks my heart a little bit. Like, retrievers are kind dogs. What are you talking about? And they said, well, it's the most common dog. So therefore,
Just by sheer population numbers.
sheer numbers. Yeah.
So you hand the guy the mail.
Yep.
And then what happened next?
So as I turn around, I look and I see this dog coming at me. And I yelled, no, like you're supposed to.
Okay.
And he bites me
Where did he bite you?
here.
Okay, on the back of the thigh.
Right. Not my butt, under my butt. And then I instinctively react and I smack him away. But funny enough, I thought I smacked him before he bit me. I didn't realize I got bit till later.
Yeah.
Funny enough, right?
Well, because sometimes it takes time for your pain receptors to.
And I think
tell
it's shock.
you,
I was like,
right?
you know, and so I hit him away. And then I turned sideways instinctively.
Good.
Right? Which was the right thing to do. And he got me on that leg.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
here and here. Both sides.
So, guys, what happened after Dwayne got these bites? We have you guys know the app called WhatsApp, right? And so our family has a family chat in WhatsApp. And Dwayne put in the family chat, I just got bit by a dog. And
I thought German Shepherd at the time, but yeah.
And we were all like, oh my gosh. And at the time, Dwayne was like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm still going to finish my route. So he was in shock, okay? Because it's like, honey, you've been injured. Go home. Stop working, right? You just got attacked by a dog. So anyways, the family is, we're all texting like crazy on our phone and saying, you need to stop working. You need to go back to the depot, report the incident, and then go directly to a hospital because you've been bit. So you do that, right?
I do that. Yep.
And so when you get to the hospital and you see a doctor,
Yep.
the doctor starts asking you details about this incident, right?
Yes.
So tell us what happened next.
So he asked me, did I get the numbers or the names of the owners? No.
In shock, right?
Did I get any information? I did not. They said, well, does the dog have shots? And I said, I have no idea. I assume so. Like they seem like, really good people and if responsible dog owners and that kind of stuff. And so I was like, yeah, I'm sure they have, but what do I do? So he instructed me to discharge myself from the hospital. I went back to the residence, talked to the homeowners and stuff like that to get
That must have
the
been
information.
terrifying to knock on that door a second time.
Well,
I would be.
Well, they joked. They said, I'm sure you don't want to be invited in. I said, I'll pass things. So, yeah.
So you talk to these people
Yeah.
and you get their details, right?
Yeah.
I guess you got their name and then you asked.
Yeah, and so I just said to them, so then when my supervisor is going to come and pay a visit to you guys and get all the details, stuff like that, and make sure to get the information when you had the last vaccinations, that they're going to need that information. And that's when the homeowner went, the dog doesn't have its shots. And I was like, okay, that's a problem, right? Yeah. Especially because, with the doctor, they're like, concerned for rabies and all that kind of stuff. And so that was a concern for everybody, what was going to happen.
So you had to go back to the hospital then.
Yeah. So I went back to the hospital, told them, gave me information that I had and said, and the dog doesn't have its shots.
And it sounds like they just don't vaccinate. It doesn't sound like this family was like, oh, the shots are just out of date. It sounds like they just don't vaccinate their dog from that conversation you had with them, right?
I got the impression it was a deliberate choice not to vaccinate. It wasn't like, I think it was just a health decision that they made. It was like they didn't think it was appropriate, or they didn't like it, or that's the vibe I got from it. Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, I'm just going to share with you, like, as a spouse, okay, who doesn't Dr. Google it and like just Google research everything, right? So guess what? You're sitting there at work from home and your husband has been attacked by an unvaccinated dog. You better believe I'm freaking out inside. I start researching dog bites. I've always known from like way before in my life, it was like a screw nail puncture or something. I know puncture wounds are very dangerous. In a lot of ways, they're more dangerous than if you had a full open cut, because any debris or infection can go in. And because it's not an open cut where blood flows out so easy, the infection can settle in pretty quick and easy, right? And so, of course, the big concern with an animal bite is rabies.
Yep.
And so when I start doing the research about rabies, first of all, we all know in our house anyways, but we'll tell you all that if someone gets rabies, whether it's a mammal, like an animal, or a human, unfortunately, once symptoms show,
Yep.
it is considered basically 100% fatal.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? I suppose there's always that 0.1% of a chance, but it's pretty much
No, my understanding it's
pretty widespread on the internet that it's like it is fatal. Within 7 to 10 days, the animal or the person will die.
I've not heard this.
Oh, I did my research, honey. I did my reading. So here's where the concern about an unvaccinated pet became really terrifying. Did you guys know that the rabies, if there's a, like, let's say it's a dead bat or a raccoon or a skunk and it had rabies, do you know that even on a frozen carcass, the rabies disease or illness or infection, whatever you call it, can remain active? And so your unvaccinated pet can go nibble, lick, get into, if they actually, their saliva and stuff they're ingesting from an open wound on a dead animal that has rabies, it sounds like it would, that dead animal would have to be like drying out in the sun for the rabies infection to die. So even in the dead of winter like this, if there was a dead bat, a dead raccoon, a dead skunk, something in that family's nice old neighborhood backyard, and that animal got into it, that animal could be carrying the rabies virus. And this is where it became extremely upsetting to realize that, like, because someone didn't vaccinate their pet, it shoved that responsibility on you. And it put you at risk.
It's kind of ironic. It's like, okay, so like I value life, okay? It's not like I'm trying to say animals over humans and that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to say that, but it was ironic that their decision not, because they didn't, I got the impression they didn't believe in getting or putting medicine into their dog, foreign medicine or foreign, whatever like that, that now the human had to get it.
Yep. And so
you know what I mean? So it's just really, does that make sense? It's just like, it's like,
yeah,
so now you're obligating me.
Now
it's like,
going to be your problem because they wouldn't do it.
Right.
And I will point out in Ontario, it is the law for if you have a pet, if you have a cat, a dog, or a ferret, it has to have up-to-date vaccines.
Cat or dog or ferret?
I did my research, honey. I've been online, right? So, yeah.
Very specific, like, ferret. That's interesting.
Well, because ferrets can crawl around and be really active.
I get that.
Too, right? Yeah. So, I don't know why not guinea pigs and rabbits? I don't know.
Yeah.
But in any event, specifically what I saw online, cats, dogs, and ferrets, if you have those, you need to have vaccines done. So, unfortunately, the decision that this family made, it was against what our city bylaws and our Ontario laws say that you have to do. And so the hospital was talking about giving you rabies shots, which from what I could see with the research involved one series of injections goes directly into where the wound is. It had a special name. I can't remember, guys, but there's a name for that. And then you'd have shots on day 0, day 3, day 7, day 14, and sometimes day 21. Those would just be in the arm, like a normal vaccine immunization shot. But it would involve a series of shots, right? And so the hospital was talking about doing this for you. So just tell everyone a little bit more about, like, what happened with the shots? What happened with the rest of this journey here?
So in my case, the doctor said that he had never seen a situation where a domestic dog had rabies. It was very unusual. And so he was trying to look for, like, they were trying to make a decision because they didn't have rabies vaccines on hand. It's not something that they stock at the hospital.
Because it's so rare happening, right?
Thankfully. So they'd have to get that in. And so they're deciding, do we have to order this in? And the nurse kept saying, I just feel so bad for you. And I couldn't figure out if it was because of the needles that I was about to get or the time, because they were talking like 5 hours, something like that. So I don't know if it's something of they would give a needle over a period of time, see how it respond, give you another one over. Like, I'm not sure what that was all about.
Well, remember we were talking with Tyler's girlfriend's dad the other day, and he confirmed that the old style way, which is what I heard, the urban legend I heard growing up, was that if you are exposed to rabies, you get 30 needles in the stomach.
Yeah.
And he confirmed that it used to be 14 needles into the stomach.
In the belly button.
In the I didn't absorb that part. That sounds even more painful somehow. Ew. Okay. So I mean, this is what I hadn't at this point. I hadn't even found the part online where I saw some YouTube videos of people giving rabies shots, and I'm like, oh, it's a shot in the arm. So I'm like, great, you're gonna have all these shots in your stomach and everything. It sounded so upsetting. But anyways, how come?
Old school.
What did the doctor ultimately advise? So, and what did animal control ultimately?
I mean, by the time I was done, I had talked to animal control from the city, of course, the doctors and nurses and that kind of stuff, and they all, animal control confirmed that there were no cases of rabies in the city at all. Okay, so not just talking animals, we're talking like wild animals or anything, right? So the chances of me being exposed to a domesticated dog that just happened to be rabid, it was very unlikely. So to your dismay, we decided not to get the rabies
Guys, you vaccine. Need to know that my son
she hates this.
My son, myself, a few of us were like, I still want you to get the shots. I've been very uncomfortable with this decision to not take this precaution because that dog is currently quarantined at the house,
Dog's
right?
Been quarantined. Yeah.
And so it's quarantined for how many days?
15.
15 days. Okay. So right now are we not even a week?
6 days.
We're 6 days. We're 6 days, 7 days in, right? So we still have one more week to go. And my concern is the other thing I learned is the rabies virus, the incubation, they call it, is very long and slow. But what I read is it will travel an average of 24 centimeters per day. So this is where if you get bit in the neck, it's not very long for it to reach your central nervous system. Where Dwayne was bit, just start counting 2 centimeters up. And I'm still like, what if it's reaching your central nervous system before this 15 days is done and then it's too late, right? So apparently as long as symptoms are not showing, the rabies vaccines would still be effective.
Yep.
And so it's probably favorable that we haven't got a call from anyone yet that this dog is not showing any symptoms. And I do understand, in all likelihood, this dog is not going to display any symptoms. The 15 days will go by, and then I guess animal control is going to check in with them, verify it, and then you're going to get notified.
Yep.
And life will go on.
They're watching for any behavioral stuff. And
it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this is a waiting time that we're sitting in right now. So
now I have since seen the family. Ironically, since then I've seen them more than I have. It just, I guess our schedules currently with the change of season are just syncing up a little bit more and that kind of stuff. But they have let me know that they will be vaccinating their dog.
I'm so glad to hear that.
I don't know if they're forced to, like I'm sure they're not happy about that, but they wanted to let me know that that's happening. So
yeah, I have a feeling animal control has to enforce that because like I said, in Ontario, it's the law. You can't be having pets that are not vaccinated. So maybe animal control is enforcing it, but either way, this dog is going to get vaccinated.
One interesting,
and hopefully they'll keep their shots up to date.
Yeah, and one interesting thing, the homeowner did tell me at the time that they got the dog from the pound or something like that. It was like a shelter dog. Okay. And when I let animal control know that, they were happy. They said, okay, even if if they haven't got shots since they've had the dog would have had shots when it was in the care of the shelter. Yeah. Right. So at least they said, at least that reduces again that chances of issues were again greater reduced because that dog, it's not like it never had shots. Right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, they said if it was a scenario like I got bit by a raccoon, or even a stray dog or coyote or something like that, but even if it was a dog that came up to me,
And you
unprovoked,
couldn't identify where it lived.
and it bit me. It's like dogs don't do that naturally. So there's like, that would have been a sign there's something wrong. They probably would have just gone ahead, no matter what I thought, and ordered the rabies vaccine. That's my impression. So
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad to hear that they are going to get the shots done.
Yep.
And your family loves you to the moon and back. And we want you to be okay, of course.
Yeah.
So how you've actually kind of went back to work. You did a day in the warehouse to
Yep.
give your legs some rest.
Yep.
And let's just, before we wrap this up, like guys, he went back to his route. You went back to your route the next day. Like you took one day
took a day off. Yeah. Yeah.
and then you went back to walking the street. Did you feel nervous and afraid? Of course, I'm asking a guy, right? You're good.
Yeah. No.
But I know I would have been terrified going near that house.
I did not go back to that house until Friday.
Okay.
So
Probably a good side of caution there.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, let's talk a little bit about your injuries and what we're going to try. As you know, guys, YouTube doesn't want goriness, right? So we'll try and post a picture or two and just make sure it's not. But let's talk a little bit
also
about
for you guys. I mean, if you don't wish to see it, then
you
just
can
don't
skip that part. But like, let's talk a little bit about what your injuries look like. And
Well, funny, when I talked to Animal Services, they wanted me to provide a picture of progress every day. So I first took, the first day I took a picture, and you can see I'm uneducated in what a bite looks like, but they immediately looked at it and said, that's a bad bite. I'm like, okay.
and what we could see was puncture wounds on both legs.
Yeah, you could definitely see.
A little bit of bruising had started.
Yeah. But since then, it just turned all sorts of crazy colors. And
it's like the next day, the next day, guys, it was dark purple, like a deep, dark purple. And so if this is like the puncture wound, initially the bruise around the puncture wound was about the size of the little hole I'm making with my hand. And the bruising has grown to like bigger than my fist. Like the bruising around it grew to like this big on your right leg, and on your left leg, a little less, but more widespread. It went further down your leg.
Ironically,
it's turning colors of gray and yellow and a lot of purple and purple brown. And I think Animal Control said that the level of bruising indicates how deep the teeth.
I think that's what they're looking for, right? As far as for how many days it or like the size of the bruise, the color, of course, and then when does it start to get better? You know, I think that's all stuff they take into consideration, I guess. But ironically, the first bite I got, which I thought I slapped him away, was the worst one.
Yeah.
You know, so he meant business. I mean, he wasn't
threatened, and he was as you said, this was such a gracious thing that you said to that homeowner, was that you said, I'm just doing my job, your dog was just doing his. So even though it was an unvaccinated dog, which is not okay, at the end of the day, the dog was doing his job, and he was protecting his den, and he was protecting his family, right? So this doesn't seem to have scared you off from being a letter carrier.
Definitely not. I will say though, I used to kind of walk around the corners, like someone's garage, and I walk around the garage, the front door.
Tight, like?
I'm a little more cautious. I'll walk a little wider now.
So you're making sure you can see what's coming and what you're dealing with.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, hey guys, that's the story here that we wanted to share with you, is, what it's like to be a letter carrier, and, what it's like to be attacked by a dog and be bitten by a dog. The overarching message in this, I think you guys know, I'm nervous of big dogs. I was bit by my grandfather's dog when I was a child, and it was a herding dog. I don't know for sure. Children's memories are vague, but I feel like it might have been a border collie. I don't know for sure, but I think it was. But it all around the ankle. It was my right ankle. And ever since then, I've never gotten over it. And so anything bigger than a Miley-sized dog, I'm like, whoa, I'm nervous, right?
I guess I should say, when you talked about the kind of bites or stuff you look for, like watching for dog bites to be concerned about, they're going to bite you in the back. Like where I got bit is classic.
Okay.
Okay. I mean,
When you're going away from them.
yeah, because like so a
Interesting.
dog, it's like it's going to get you in the back of the calf, you know, especially little dogs.
Which could do major damage.
They really can.
For your
Yeah, they
walking.
really can. Yeah. I do have a colleague who she's been bit on the arm twice with the same dog, which that dog hates her so apparently, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not usual from what I've seen. Most people get in the back like I do. I know mine was higher up, but a lot in the back of the calf and stuff. So.
Yeah. And I know our son, as only a man could say, he was like, Dad, any further, and it'd be the family jewels.
I thought of that later. I saw the location later and went, okay, that's a little too close for comfort, you know.
It was pretty high up, guys, like literally right under the butt cheek is the top part of the thigh. So anyways, guys, I think you get the idea here. Big dogs can be strong and powerful, and even little dogs can bite and attack.
All dogs can bite. All dogs.
Any pet, any animal with teeth has the potential to bite and to do damage.
Yep.
And the overarching message of just what we wanted to share from this interview is two things. First of all, just your anecdotal experience as a mailman, as a letter carrier, of what this was like to be attacked by an animal. But obviously the take home I want you guys all to have is, please, everyone, do the right thing and vaccinate your pets. You would see in our comments, I've engaged with people a lot about, I'm aware there's this titer test method where you can test how much immunity is in the dog, etc. I'm aware there's different levels. I did take a stand in our comments and say that, I'm sorry, guys, at the end of the day, where I sit on it, get your pet vaccinated on a regular schedule as per city bylaws by a professional, meaning at a clinic or at, your veterinarian. Don't be doing it yourself. Some backyard method is like, get it done where you get the proper documentation that confirms your pet has been vaccinated. And just for the safety of your animal and for everyone involved, guys, vaccinate your pet, right? It protects your animal, lets your animal live longer. It protects other animals around. And of course, it protects the people.
Yep.
So we do hope that everyone will practice, responsible pet ownership. And, think of your local mailman as well.
Cool.
Hey, Dwayne, I just want to say for everyone, thank you for sharing your experience. It is a little bit personal and you got to be a little bit vulnerable to talk about stuff like this. And, but hey, it's
literally dropping my pants.
Yeah, right. But it is part of the Miley and Me adventures is we're the me part of Miley and Me, and the me part of us got bit by a dog. Seems like a significant story to share on our channel. So There we go.
Cool. See you guys.
So thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in today and hearing our story. And till
next time.
See you later. Bye.